Hello. Hi, everyone. I have a couple of thoughts that I would love to share with you, and they are specifically, what I want to share right now is specifically for anyone that is really brand new to researching career options, virtual assistants, freelancing, digital nomading in this, online business world, right? This is if you're brand new and you're kind of, coming in from the corporate world, or you're coming in from full-time parenting and you're transitioning back into starting to work again, or you're, whatever it is you're currently doing, you've got any type of work history, but this digital stuff is new to you, right? So I want to make sure that I've really called that out so that you can decide whether this is worth your time to stick around and hear what I'm about to share, especially if you're jumping in to watch the recording. So I answered a question today that someone had written into me asking, for my ideas and feedback, and something that they shared really kind of stuck on my radar, I guess you could say. And they talked about this struggle to kind of translate their skills into the digital world, right? And that's exactly what I've labeled this live, actually. Have you been trying to figure out how you can translate your skills? And when I replied, I was kind of like, I replied to help this person, and then I was thinking to myself, wow, I think it's got to be at least, I don't know, actually I'm not going to throw random numbers out there, but a lot of people in the last couple of months have had a similar expression of concern or request for assistance with this exact same focus on translating the skills. Now, here's the thought that came into my mind initially, because if you haven't met me before, I've actually been working online since 2011. That's when I got started working online full time. And what I've realized is that throughout that 7 years, certain new normals have come into play for me, where it's like I forget what it used to be like when I thought about this from the perspective of coming straight out of the corporate world, and I just think in digital now, right? Everything's digital. My friends, my colleagues, my family, live on Airbnb and Uber, and, it's a new normal, right? So for a second, when I was thinking about how many people had this focus on translating their skills, the thought that popped into my mind is, why are so many people interested in translating their skills rather than just choosing the new skills that they're going to focus on developing, or the phrase that I like to use is getting skilled up in, right? Got skills, getting skilled up, the things I'm crazy excited about. Why isn't the focus on, what new skills do I want to choose? Like, am I going to be a virtual assistant? Am I going to learn MailChimp? Am I going to learn ConvertKit? Am I going to do design? Am I going to do coding? And what I realized is when you're brand new and coming into this, you don't have that framework in your mind, right? And I had an aha moment where I realized that's exactly what I was thinking. I was trying to translate my career history into the online space, and it wasn't computing, and I wasn't seeing this as a possibility for myself. Now, what happened there was that one of the very first people that I saw working online, traveling with their family, with their wife, and it was a man traveling with his wife and kids, and he was a web developer. And in my head, I was like, I'm not a web developer. I don't have those skills. I'm probably not going to get those skills. My career history and my competence in other things I've done in the past does not translate into that being a possibility for me. I just can't see it, right? And it wasn't until that I really got my head around the fact that it's not just specialist skills like coding and creativity in writing or in designing a graphic, but actually this day-to-day support work, implementation work, as I refer to it, getting things done in the systems in what you could consider as advanced administration. When I started to really get my head around that, and then got my head around this idea of being a virtual assistant, that's when I started to realize I don't need to translate any of my career history. It's just like, what am I going to learn first? Learn that, do it. What am I going to learn next? Learn that, do it, right? And earn money while I'm doing it, right? Now that I realize now is a given for me, right? Because many people that are getting their careers started online now, many of them have done a lot of research before they dive in. So they know what the buffet is. They know what's on offer. But I'm really inspired to connect with people as well, not that have just done all their research and they know and they're just picking and choosing, right? Okay, I want to study online marketing support with you, fantastic. But I really want to connect with people that were in the same position that I was in, going, how is this going to be possible for me? I've got communication, I've got work ethic, I'm diligent, I care, but where do I fit in here, right? And so when I'm connecting with those people and, people are writing in questions to me about how am I going to translate their skills, it's prompted me to make sure that I bring some clarity to this idea, that the idea is don't worry about translating your skills. That's the long and short of it, right? Learn something new. Now, here is where I think this gets tricky, right? Because when I was looking at that web developer, the first person that I saw working online before I was myself, or before I really considered a possibility for me, I knew that to learn to code would take a long time, right? It's like a whole another language you're learning. And I wasn't really perceiving fitting it in between my newborn and my 1-year-old and my husband working 6 days a week in construction and so forth, right? Now, when you start to think about the skills that you learn online to be a virtual assistant, to be a digital marketing support person, to do email newsletters, to do social media scheduling, to do landing pages, all these types of things, the difference is that these aren't skills where you're totally putting on hold everything that you're doing right now to be able to really learn them, right? It's not like going and getting a master's degree or learning to code from scratch or learning to have a discerning eye for design or what have you. It's learning specific software systems in large part and how to operate in those systems with content, with images, with links, with details, with settings, with integrations. And do that in such a way where you're freeing up the business owner's time and they pay you because they don't have to do it themselves, or they don't have to pay it, a consultant to do everything, because the consultant's helping with strategy, but you're getting in there and helping with that implementation. So when you realize that, is anyone here live with me? I know there's a couple of people. Feel free to just say hi if you're there, because I can see the people on live, but I'm just not sure who is here with me. Let me know. Say hi in the chat. Realizing that it's not going to take this stretch of a few years where you've got to put the everything else on hold to learn this thing. Hey, Crystal, good that you're hanging out here. Awesome. Crystal, where are you up to in your online career? I know your name, but you have to remind me on what you're up to. You're working with clients, right? So that's really the first thing, is getting a handle on the difference between learning a completely new career, right, where you have to learn that thing and then you can start, to learning skills, learning a small set of skills, or learning one skill at a time if you choose to, and getting up and running with that, helping someone with that, and then paying you an hourly rate for that. Actually, it was funny because one of the people that works with me, that supports me with client work, she said to me, well, here's her philosophy on getting started with getting skilled up, right? She says, you go and see what clients are posting, their requirements are, jobs in Facebook groups, on the freelancing platforms, all these kinds of things. She even said on Craigslist as well and so forth. She said, then you look at what the system names are in the job post that they've requested that they need support with. Then you go and look that up and find tutorials and study it, and then you reach out and apply. And I was like, and that's why we're working together. It sounds so simplistic, but that really is what you do. And what you do as you gain experience is you extend on your understanding. At first, it's like a surface level understanding, right? And then you extend on it and you become more and more intuitive in getting into new tools and new systems and so forth. But you don't need to worry about everything from your past career history applying here, because a lot of it is not going to apply, right? Unless you are working in corporate as a social media manager in corporate, or you happen to be working as a digital marketer, or you're a web developer, right? Just don't worry about translating. Just learn something new. Choose it and learn something new. Crystal said started in November, but have to get back on track with Biz Skills training. That's the online Biz Skills course. Not working with clients yet, but have my business name, etc. Fantastic, Crystal. Love that. Super cool that you could be here. So that's really the first thing, is realizing that you can learn these skills rapidly, right? But the first thing is that you need to decide what it is that you want to do online, right? So I kind of have already shared what the buffet is, but yeah, you can learn to code. You can learn to be a virtual assistant, and a big part of that is online marketing or digital marketing support in specific systems for email marketing, for social media, for landing pages, for webinars, all these types of things, right? You can learn design. You can be a writer. You can do bookkeeping, right? There's other things out there too, but just kind of look at that set first of all and go, okay, right? What I hear from a lot of people is if you haven't come in from, you know, a technical background, you're super stoked like I was when you find out that how much demand there is for online marketing support, and even without strategy or without consulting or without advice or without expertise. So if that's you, what I'm going to suggest, if you haven't seen a free video series that I put together, I'm just going to drop the link in the comments. So if you're watching the recording, just watch the comments in real time, and I'll just drop that link in. This is just for anyone that's brand new, okay, because this is like back to basics kind of foundation stuff. If you're already working online, that's going to be two kind of early stages. But this is specifically for you if you're trying to get this mental framework of like, what are these systems that I'm going to learn? What is online marketing support? Like, is that different to data entry, or do I have to go and learn bookkeeping to do this stuff online, because I can't think of anything else, right? Because I'm hearing people, the reason I'm sharing these things is because this is what people are writing to me about. Like, they're actually not aware of, you know, all of the work that's going through in ConvertKit and MailChimp and Lead Pages and, you know, all the systems, right? So when you sign up for that series, it's video number 2 specifically that I would direct you to for getting this mental framework and this construct. And that's going to make things so much clearer to visualize yourself stepping in and picking up these skills without worrying about translating anything from your past work life, right? Now let's move on to point number 2. That's thing number 1 that I wanted to share with you. You can learn and pick up these skills rapidly. Crystal said, that's where I'm at, trying to fine tune what I do. Fantastic, yeah. And I mean, it never stops, Crystal. For me, I'm still fine tuning, and I'm sure you've heard me share that already, but it's one of the things I absolutely love about this. It continues to evolve. Every single person that I have trained with or you know, worked alongside or collaborated with, everyone is in the same position. The people that do exceptionally well in this industry are stoked to play with the evolution, new tools, new strategies, new processes, drop this, refine that, you know, offer something new to this client, let go of an old service, right? It's so much fun. There's so much more fluidity than there is in the corporate world. And that's why, that's why it's not like this, okay, I have to train up for a few years, then I've got this new role, then I start. That's why you can start a lot more seamlessly, a lot faster, because people want to know, do you care? Are you excited to work with me? What are you skilled up in? Great, we'll get you helping with this. We'll get you helping on the blog. We'll get you scheduling social media. You just know Instagram? Cool, get started on Instagram, right? Okay, now thing number 2 that I wanted to let you know about is as far as your experience coming into this from your past work life, right? Yes, it absolutely is something that you can leverage. That's kind of the language that makes the most sense to me. Now, it's all neither here nor there, but the way that I perceive it in my head, so you can kind of see how I think about it, is leveraging your past work history rather than trying to translate it into a comparable role online, right? And what I mean by leverage, I mean so many of the things that we've been doing in our past work lives have involved a significant amount of communication, face-to-face, written, you know, meetings, sometimes even virtual or kind of, you know, national meetings that are on kind of teleconference lines and things like this, right? There's so much correspondence. There's so much like document related stuff or systems and database related stuff. So when I say database, I don't mean like technical programming, IT people style database. I mean like a database where it's like, this is where we register the clients' names. This is where we register the customers' names. This is where we input the sales when they come in for retail. This is where we input the sales when they come in for hospitality or what have you, right? There's often some system that's involved at the heart of any of our past careers, where we get that familiarity with operating inside a system, where we need to know how to navigate around and what we've got to pay attention to and where we've got to put the information, where we've got to retrieve information that someone else has put into the system. We've had experience with formatting documents if you've had any administrative background whatsoever or any corporate, background. There's so many things that aren't marketing or digital related that you can absolutely leverage here. And yes, there is some translating involved, right? So I don't want to get confusing here, but there's some adaptation. Let's call it adaptation, right? So with a lot of that corporate or administrative or customer service, hospitality, retail experience, we adapt that, what's the right word? Just that huge body of experience, we adapt it into this digital world, right? So let me give you some concrete examples so this makes sense. The way we've been used to communicating formally between corporate departments, hey, we need to order this from the blah, blah department, right? And we do up a special form for it, or we, write the email in the format that it's got to be written, or, so many examples I think of. The last corporate job that I had before I was a full-time mum working in a law firm, and I did loan property finance certification to prepare it for lawyers that were settling finance. The banks were our clients. And so there was like physical file preparation that someone would do to get us all the documentation we needed for this property certification, right? All these processes. And they're often very kind of convoluted, and there's lots of steps and there's lots of formality. Not always, right? You come into this digital space, and if you're writing very official sounding emails like that, or what have you, people will talk very officially back to you. But when you start to realize that there's this kind of more like a messaging, a succinct back and forth way that people communicate, still very professionally, but it's more like a back and forth conversation. It's really like when you think about Facebook Messenger, that's how correspondence works in project management spaces, like a Basecamp, okay, like Slack, Team Chat, right? There's a whole range of tools that virtual teams operate in, and it's quite professional, but it's this kind of like, there's less formality, there's less, there's still structure, but it's more of a direct conversation, right? Who knows what I'm talking about here? If you're here on live, let me know if you've experienced that in the online world already. So that's one adaptation. Another adaptation might be if you are needing to ask for clarification or help or support trying to figure something out, or you're trying to explain something to a colleague. Oh, I've done this bit, now you need to do that bit, right? What do we often do in a traditional on-the-ground workspace? We go and tap our colleague or our supervisor on the shoulder. We go over to their cubicle and we say, okay, here's how we've got to do it, right? How do you adapt that into the online world? In the online world, we're getting proficient with using screenshot tools, right? We're getting proficient at using short screencast videos, little tiny 30-second, 1 minute, 2 minute, up to 5 minute videos that we are explaining ourselves, walking through on the screen. Hey, here's what I've done. I input the form here, and I was just wondering if you could help me integrate that with Infusionsoft. And then once you've done that, let me know, and then I'll keep going with this part of the task. Now instead of tapping that person on the shoulder and like having a little impromptu meeting, we do that through these screenshots that have annotations on them, arrows, explanations, and we do it through these short little videos, right? So that's an area where you're leveraging that past experience you've got with all that correspondence and all that ability to kind of communicate those ideas, but you're using different tools to do that in a virtual collaborative space with a client or a team that is completely operating globally online. So Crystal said, I get it. Awesome. Very cool. Excellent. Okay. And so, I mean, another example there is, as far as possible, like we're not always booking meetings, right? if you've worked in corporate, there's actually a really funny website called the Cooper Review. I don't know if anyone's heard of it, but a teammate and I just absolutely in hysterics laughing about it. She got me onto it actually. And we just sometimes laugh about our old corporate work, but, you know, all the meetings, they make jokes about, you know, all the wasted times in meetings and so forth. And one of the beautiful things about working online is that that gets trimmed down significantly, right? And so you learn to really kind of communicate effectively without it needing to be a meeting. There's absolutely still meetings. There's still like video conferencing and so forth. And that will happen frequently, but you're not in meetings throughout the whole week. So you're adapting to that way of communicating, right? So thing number one, you can learn the skills rapidly, so you don't need to worry about translating skills online. Thing number two, there is some adaptation and there's leverage of your past work history, but it's mainly in the communication side of things, unless you've specifically been working in social media, which is actually coming out more and more now, where people are reaching out to me and saying, hey, I'm working in social media, but I want to do what you do. I'm like, cool, just find a client. Like, it's not, but it's a different thing, right? That is then kind of translating that into the online space. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, let me just check what I wanted to share here, because I got to make sure I don't miss anything important. So the third thing, I've just got notes that I'm looking at, guys, is where you can really use your past experience in any career is using that as a point of connection to start in conversations and connect with potential clients that you're meeting in social media or in local networking, if you're doing local networking, right? But in social media, on LinkedIn, in Facebook groups, when you're reaching out to them via email. So to give you an example of that, I used the fact that I had worked in a law firm as a point of connection for one of the first clients I connected with, even though I wasn't really going to be helping them with like law firm kind of work. It was online marketing support work because they were starting up a digital business that specifically targeted other lawyers with online training, right? And so even though it wasn't technically relevant to the skills required for the work I'd be doing, it's still a point of connection. It still lets that person realize, hey, you know my world. You get me, right? I mentioned a couple of things. I know law firms are very stringent with their filing systems, with their time tracking, all of these things that they do to the nth degree, even more so than any other type of organization I've worked in. You know, is very, very diligent with those types of things because of the way they often bill on, you know, an hourly basis at very like large rates or high rates. And so just being able to have a kind of bit of back and forth banter about that industry connected me to that potential client. It made me stand out from people that were, and I didn't have any significant skills at that stage. This is at the stage where I was reaching out, like basically offering customer support, administration. I wasn't a marketer. I wasn't an expert in any kind of the software systems that I'm skilled up in now, right? It was just kind of like offering that implementation support straight out of the gate. These points of connection are incredibly powerful, right? And when you kind of reverse engineer and think, okay, what have I done in my past work life? And then how many of those types of businesses have an online marketing or a digital marketing presence? It's pretty much everyone, right? It's pretty much everyone. When I've thought about it, like going back, even if those businesses aren't operating online and they don't deliver the service or the product to the client online, they're often still, at least at the very minimum, have a social media presence. And then probably on from there, an email marketing, you know, ability to connect with their potential clients and their audience as well. So Crystal said, I have a mug that reads, I survived another meeting that could have been an email. Yes, that's exactly right. Oh, I love it. I love it. Love that. Crystal, if you haven't seen the Cooper Review website, you absolutely have to go and troll through that. It's hilarious. It's so, so funny. She takes it next level. Okay. So Sarah said, or maybe that is a Cooper Review one, is it? That might be that you just told me. That could be from there. Sarah said, this sounds like exactly my background. Is this for becoming a VA? Yes, that's exactly right, Sarah. For becoming a virtual assistant or an online marketing support freelancer or a social media manager or a blog manager, any kind of virtual assistant skill that's kind of administrative focused too, but I'm talking mainly here about online marketing support. Cool. So that's, I mean, when you're looking about thinking to yourself, I've done all this stuff, surely it's got to come in handy. Yes, it absolutely will. The communication, the processes, the systems, the documents, being able to wrap your head around that will absolutely, you know, come in handy, and you'll be able to leverage that, but not in that way that people are often perceiving it of like, I've got to translate my career online, right? Hope this is starting to really crystallize. And then the next thing I wanted to tell you, the fourth thing, is that one of the big key differences here with what we've been conditioned to think about with a career change in the past, with like, okay, I'm going to go study this thing at night and then I'm going to jump into this new career, right? With digital work, with virtual assistants, with these skills in these online software systems, you earn while you learn, right? Sounds cliche, sounds like, you know, gimmicky, but it's just absolutely the way it works. You earn while you learn. Why is that? The reason is because there's no minimum level stipulation of like, you have to be a qualified blah to do this, right? It's, you can go skill by skill, or you can go with a handful of skills. So let me give you a concrete example. And this is exactly how it worked for me. You start out by going, okay, I know how to format, proofread, edit, style up, find images for a beautiful newsletter in MailChimp. That's just an example, and it's a nice, easy one because, yeah, MailChimp is, if you haven't heard of MailChimp, it's going to be one of your go-to tools for initially getting started and feeling comfortable working and things online. There's a lot of other things as well, but just for the sake of example, right? So that might be the first thing that you're comfortable with. And you go, okay, I can actually offer to help people with that, because how many MailChimp newsletters are getting prepared week in and week out by the thousands and hundreds of thousands of businesses all over the world, right? I don't actually know how many customers MailChimp has, but let's say all the email newsletters that are going out to people that have e-commerce stores, people that have digital products, people that have events, people that have local businesses, big companies, departments of big companies, right? One of the VAs that I'm working with one-on-one at the moment, her work is coming in part from actually departments of bigger companies. For me, I've worked with smaller to medium-sized businesses that are operating, a lot of their operations and marketing is online. But for people coming in with significant corporate connections, often some of their first freelance and virtual assistant work is actually helping corporations. This is becoming more common now, right? Where they want those extra hands on deck for social media or for email marketing, etc. And so that might be your first thing. Okay, I'm doing the email newsletters, right? And then you're developing that experience and you're seeing the back end of the system. The next thing is you start to understand how the automation features within that particular system work, whether that's within MailChimp or within ConvertKit or within Infusionsoft or within any other email marketing system, right? You go, okay, now I not only know how to put the newsletter together, now I know how to set it up in an automated sequence and how to trigger that sequence when someone signs up through my client's website, right? So you've taken your skills to the next level. You're still working and earning an hourly rate this whole time, right? You're not waiting until you're called a digital marketer or you're called an online business manager or you're a social media strategist, right? You're working with the skills as you go and helping businesses who need it, that support, that level, because they're doing the more strategic planning and brainstorming ahead of that implementation that you're helping them with. And then moving on beyond from there, you go, okay, well, I know how to format a beautiful newsletter, and I know how to put that into an automated sequence of several emails that are triggered when someone signs up from the website. Now I'm actually going to take it that step further, and I'm going to help the client to strategize out how this sequence of emails should flow in the lead up to launching an event that they're running, or a book launch that they're running, or a new product that they're announcing and releasing. I'm actually going to help them to plan out when those, I'm not just going to do what's asked of me, I'm actually going to do that automation, but I'm going to figure out what makes the most sense from a marketing perspective, because now I've got some runs on the board and I've seen the back end of a few of these where I've helped someone with more experience, and now I can start actually bringing that skill on. Now, as I was saying at the beginning, for me, this evolution, it just never stops, right? No, not just for me, for everyone that I collaborate with online. Actually, no, I'll take that back. Not everyone. Some people do get stuck in what they're doing, but I find it's a minority. For the most part, the people that I'm connecting with are excited to keep going, hey, did you know about this? Let's try that, blah, blah, right? Vilma, hello. Good to see you. Okay, so Sarah said, I would love to learn more about online email marketing. Fantastic. Just signed up for MailChimp for a client. Excellent. Fantastic. Sarah, I want to make sure I get you a blog post that I have on email marketing services. 1 second. And for anyone else that is watching the recording as well, where are we? 3 levels of email marketing support you can provide to clients. And I'm going to drop that blog post link in the comments. If you're watching the recording, just watch the comments in real time and you'll see where I dropped that blog post link in to check out afterwards. Okay, so let's just quickly recap there. You don't need to translate your skills. However, realizing that it's possible to learn these digital skills much more rapidly than completely changing a career like we used to. Oh, I've got to study this and then I'll become an X and then I can apply for jobs for that thing. That kind of releases the pressure of feeling like you can't leave behind all this stuff that you've, all this experience that you've accrued over the years, right? Number 2, you are going to leverage your past work history, but you're going to do it really based on adapting that communication and that document management, that system management into this online space, to really be able to, you know, provide that service to clients, create that experience for clients, but not necessarily worrying about whether it's a direct translation. It's more just like, okay, I know how to communicate, I know how to draft things up. Now I'm just going to use these online tools to do it succinctly, to do it with these screenshots, to do it with video screencasts, etc. Number 3, you are going to use your past experience in particular for making that point of connection to start conversations with potential clients that you want to offer to support. And number 4, you are going to be earning as you learn, earning as you learn and learning as you earn, right? Both ways. Did I say that right? Hopefully. And the reason you're able to do that is because you don't have to reach some certain qualification endpoint before you actually start offering to help people. You get a base of skills, you start working, you extend on your skills, you keep refining and evolving as you go, and yes, increasing your rate either hourly or into package pricing as you go. All right, I really hope that helps. And just once again to clarify, this is specifically for you if you're trying to get that framework of what am I going to do here if my past work life is not a job that I can do online, right? I'm not a bookkeeper or a programmer or what have you. That's exactly what I had in mind when I wanted to really kind of clarify this for you. And if you are in that position, then check out one of the links that I shared further up. It's the video series, valifestyledesign.com/biz skills. And video number 2 is the one in that series that will kind of give you this mental framework and this construct of what are these online marketing support skills? What are systems that I should be kind of researching and digging into? And what are all these kind of component tasks to figure out not translating your skills, but getting skilled up in something brand new. All right, guys, super cool to hang out. I'll be around in the chat for just a moment for anyone who's live here with me. All right, ciao, guys. Bye.